9:03 now, 3 minutes after 9 o'clock, KQRS. Our special guest, Doug Bennington. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing very well. In his book, Mille, Doug Bennington captures the essence of a Minnesota icon with a sharp eye and unfailing love of his subject. Are you from the area, Doug?
Yes, sir, I am. I've lived up on the lake actually for 5 years full-time now, and formerly was down in the Twin Cities. Early 90s, I lived in uptown for a while, then to Maplewood, and then coming up here fishing for quite a while. I fell in love with the place and finally convinced my wife 5 years ago we needed to be here full-time. So here we are.
What first brought you to Mille Lake?
Fishing with my father. He brought me up many years ago, and we started fishing Mille Lacs, and we made it an annual tradition to come up here and spend our week-long vacation together. So eventually I just grew into the place so much that I bought some land up here, and one thing led to another, and we ended up building here.
So what part of the lake you live on?
We live in the town of Wakan, south side.
Oh, okay.
Adjacent to Isle.
Oh, okay, you're by Isle. Okay.
Right by Isle.
Uh-huh.
I see. So you are a fine art photographer. That's what you do for a living.
No, sir. Actually, it's my passionate hobby. I actually am in sales, so that's my full-time career, but I've never been able to let go of my camera. I do have a degree in cinema and photography from Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, and I've just always still could never let go and wanted to do some type of fine art photography book over the years. It's always been a dream and a goal of mine. So
it's beautiful.
I appreciate that very much.
Really
so basically what you're saying is your wife then supports you. No, I'm just kidding.
What do you sell?
Pardon me?
What do you sell?
Actually, I sell wireless solutions and mobile computers for warehouses and distribution centers.
So that's good.
It's interesting business. I've been doing it for about 15 years now. So, again, the photography is something that I could never let go of. So that is nice to go out and enjoy the creative experience, shall we say, versus sitting on the phone calling corporate America.
Now, can you transition this and do some more books where you can make that the career and not have to do the wireless stuff?
Well, depending on the outcome of this initial project, there's always the potential to go for a subsequent book project. Absolutely. We're still in the inception stages of this book, so we'll see how things go, and maybe potentially we'll do another.
Sure. Throw a little book in when they buy a wireless system from you, and bingo.
Exactly.
I saw your book in Terry's studio yesterday, Doug. It's just spectacularly beautiful. How do you, in the dead of winter like that, some of the shots are, ice houses and whatever, how do you go out and prevent your camera from getting all mucked up and full of moisture and damage it?
Typically what I'll do is before I shoot, I'll make sure that the cabin temperature and if I'm driving in my pickup truck, I'll make sure to keep everything cool to start out with. So, if I'm driving around in a nice warm truck and then jump out 20 below zero, obviously, like you're saying, that'll fog up the lenses. So I like to start out, maybe just keep it nice and cool in the vehicle to start with, have the lens cap off in advance. So when I do get out, it will typically eradicate that from happening. On occasion, though, I will have to wipe off, the optics right before I shoot. There's no way around it at times.
And is that what most of us should do because everyone in Minnesota participates in winter activities and everyone has their cell phone cam or whatnot. Is that what we should do as well?
Yeah, just I would make sure to double check and make sure you don't have any condensation on your optics before you shoot. And if you need to, just give it a quick wipe down before you take the shot.
You know what I like, Doug, is the section in your book. We're talking to Doug Bennington about his book, Mille. Beautiful, beautiful book. I love the section on drunken Vikings in the hot tub. That was phenomenal.
Well, they can stay as drunk as they want. They're going into the playoffs, and we're playing at the Dome, so I'm super excited about that, and hopefully if we can put the kibosh on the Cowboys and we'll get another round, then we hope for the best, and we hope for the Super Bowl.
Doug, there's a picture in your book. Again, the book's called Mille. Doug Bennington is the photographer, the author, the whole shoot match. There's a picture of what appears to be an albino deer standing a bunch of, there's a lot of snow, there's a lot of
mist.
Looks like, a lot of mist as well. There's some like brush or whatever it is. Obviously, there are no leaves on it, but what a beautiful picture that is.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. And a real quick story behind that. If you're talking about the very last image in the book, there was a huge snowstorm the day before. And that morning I went out searching for the elusive albino deer. As you may or may not know, they can be very, very difficult to find. And sometimes I've spent upwards of 3 to 4 hours just going around in the state parks trying to follow them or get a shot of them. Well, this particular morning I went out after a big blizzard. I drove into Father Hennepin State Park, and just as I was getting in, right after I went through the gates, all of a sudden I saw this flash in my rearview mirror, and what in the world was that? So I stopped the truck, and I turn around, I look, and here's this big, beautiful albino deer right behind my truck down in the ditch looking right at me. So I'm shaking, freaking out. I'm like, I can't believe this. I just pulled in the park. So, of course, I didn't have my camera gear ready, of course. So I'm digging through my bag all nervous. Get the camera around my neck. I just very slowly open the door, carefully sneak out. I start focusing on this deer, and it's looking at me, and it says, well, I've had enough of this. So I literally popped off 2, maybe 3 frames, and the thing dashed into the woods.
Wow.
So it was a pretty exciting story, and needless to say, I saved that image for the best for last.
What's your favorite time of day out there, even if it's not for photography, just to be alone?
Happy hour.
Sure, happy hour, exactly. I would say, I really, really love either going out, if I can get my butt out of bed. I love going out early morning when there's crisp sunlight. Real early light is wonderful. And also I love either fog, going out in fog, super foggy mornings, or during a blizzard. Like if there's a huge snowstorm going on, I just like to get out there in my 4-wheel drive in the truck and just no rhyme or reason get out there and look for stuff unfolding, which I do have a few images in the book of people snow blowing and guys out windsurfing and
people
blizzard.
Changing in their bedrooms.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't think I would go to the peeping Tom extent, but
probably not.
That's the next book.
Depends on what kind of lens you get.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, I only have a 400 right now, so I think I'd want to definitely get a longer one.
One of the great things about photography and a man of your talent, looking at the pictures, we were talking to Doug Bennington about his book, Mille, beautiful, beautiful book. But what you can do, your artistry, your talent, you take photographs and we look at them and it immediately reminds us of things that happened in our past. When we were children, things we saw at Lake Mille.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just a great experience.
Yeah, you're right there. You look at it and it's like, yep.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think anyone that's ever been up to Mille Lacs or familiar with the area, by taking a look at the book, there's something for everyone in there. It's not just biased towards fishing or biased towards scenics. You've got a full gamut, a full array of different images in there. You've got fall colors. I've got aerial shots, panoramics. Ice fishing, snowstorms. There's old farm equipment in there. Not only is it just of the lake, but it's of the surrounding area as well. So I've gone out and shot abstract images. I really, really love abstract because I think it makes a person ponder the image a lot longer. And if I can get someone to engage in a photo, I've done my job. So that's particularly why I like abstracts myself.
I'm not abstract.
Pardon me?
I'm not abstract. I like the real deal.
Okay,
No,
that's
see,
fine.
I'm the exact opposite. I love what I was just saying, I guess, is abstract photography really drives the memory. It really does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank God you weren't around in the early 80s when I made the mistake of going out on a launch. We were the only boat on the lake that day with about 8-foot swales, and you would have had a lot of pictures in Technicolor of yours truly. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Too funny.
Little vomiting there, Jeff?
Oh.
I had another funny story one time, and I'll never forget this, and I'll never live it down. My dad and I were going out one morning to fish. It was really foggy, beautiful light piercing through the fog, so I brought my good camera equipment along. So we're heading out. We finally get to our spot. My dad's running around looking for the prime spot with his electronics, and finally he says, okay, Doug, now throw over the anchor, throw over the anchor. So I pitch the thing over, and I'm throwing out rope. Next thing you know, the end of the anchor rope goes flying in the lake. And my dad looks at me and says, Jesus, He says, jump in the lake, Doug, get the rope. And I'm thinking to myself, what? I've got my cell phone attached to my side. I've got my wallet in my back pocket. The water's like 56 degrees. It's early morning. I'm not jumping in the lake, So my dad's all flustered and upset, so he says, fine. He gets a treble hook out with a 1-ounce sinker, puts it in the water, and he says, get your treble hook on. We're going to drag for this rope. So he was dejected. He had his head down. So we're running around in his boat, dragging treble hooks, trying to find his anchor rope.
Did you find it?
We never did. So I said, Dad, let's just go back. I'll buy you a new water spikes, for crying out loud. So needless to say, I didn't get to shoot that morning.
That's the next thing you need to do. Get the underwater camera, and you see all of the stuff that's laying on the bottom of some of these lakes.
Exactly. Actually, that's a great idea. I'm thinking about renting scuba gear this upcoming summer and maybe getting some underwater housing for my camera and going to the next level with some.
Maybe we could
underwater.
live mic you when you go under.
That'd be great. I'd love to do that. I'd love to come back and talk to you from 40 feet deep and tell you where all the walleyes are.
It's a great, great book. Obviously, very talented. Doug Bennington. He's going to write another book, How My Father Would Rather Lose a Son Than an Anchor. But,
All the Barnes and Nobles have the book, too, right? In all the bookstores?
That is correct. There's 20 Barnes & Noble statewide, and I did confirm that they should all have a copy or more. So any brick-and-mortar store, or you can go to Barnes & Noble online, or my website. You can order direct on my website, and that's DougBennington.com. If anybody's familiar with the town of Bennington, Vermont, same spelling.
Yeah, we know the name, Doug. Pipe down.
Well, I don't mean you, any other listeners.
Doug Bennington, the book is called Mille. It is a piece of art. It really is. Great job, Doug.
Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good day. It is, if you haven't seen it, of course, Terry stole the book already. But
no, it was someone stole it from me.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
It's stunningly beautiful.
Yeah. It's
what you said about the driving the memories. The minute I opened the book yesterday, the first page that opened up, it was morning mist on Mille. And I don't know, I would assume everyone in Minnesota, it instantly took me back to being out, if you go fishing with Grandpa in Mille, you get up at 4:30 to make sure that you get the early bite. It instantly took me back to being on the lake with my grandpa. Just a fantastic book.
I'm going on my first ice fishing trip in Mille in about 2 weeks from now.
In June.
Yeah.
I've never been, I guess I should say I've always been confused by the name of the lake, though, because Mille, doesn't that mean 1,000 lakes? Mille means 1,000, right? So why is it called 1,000 lakes?
They were optimistic.
Well, no, I was. It was one of those fur trappers up there. I just happened to be up there not too long ago and had some time to kill, so I drove around the lakes and
did a little fur trapping.
Did a little fur trapping up there at the Grand Casino.
Really?
Yeah,
a lot of landing strips.
Oh yeah, plenty of them up there. But they have the historical markers around the lake, and they had one on the naming of Lake Mille. But if you look at the map, there are all of these small lakes dotted around it. If you look at it, it literally almost looks like 1,000 lakes. So your early explorers kept running into lakes that surrounded the area and just named it 1,000 lakes.
I didn't know this.
The Indian name for it, actually.
The Indian name is Mississauga-igan, which means Grand Lake. And Grand Casino is up there. What do you think of that action?
That is a huge lake. Oof.
You know that the thing that stuns me about that, every time I see that lake, I realize that every summer there's a marathon around that lake every summer. Mm-hmm. That's a
they run
long
around
way.
it?
They run around Lake Mille.
Oh my God.
That is a long way to run, man. Was it like 63 miles or something like that, isn't it?
Must be that.
And they do it in one shot?
Yep. It's unbelievable. There's a Lake Mille Ultra Marathon. Man. So thank you again. What a nice man, Doug Bennington. And he is a hell of a talent, Terry. I'll tell you what. I assume this. How do we find out about this book?
It'll be linked on our website, and then if you go to any bookstore, they should have it. I think he called all 20 Barnes & Nobles yesterday.
Yeah, you betcha.
That's now to answer my question. How did we find out about the book, Terry?
Oh, I thought you said, how do we find out about it? I'm sorry. I misheard you. He contacted us about the book, and
well, seriously,
it's not a novel, because sometimes people write novels and then they want to come on, and
right.
We don't really do novels, so.
We don't do fiction.
Did he sell you any wireless equipment too,
No,
Terry?
I don't need that. I'm good.
She's got
The Frontier.
WiMAX. She moved to Brooklyn Park to get WiMAX.
What the hell kind of phone have you got?
It is 9:18 now. Thank you again, though, for having him on. This guy's a real talent, no doubt about it.
Sure is.